Welcome to ESPM 4295-5295. This is a second level course in the application of GIS. We use a real world problem to frame the geospatial analysis and to teach the tools that we want to cover in this course. This is kind of a start to finish or soup to nuts experience. A lot of the introductory courses you're given clean data and you're more or less told how to do a process. You don't have to figure out the workflows to get from this massive data an idea of how you might solve it to a sequence of steps and a logic that arrives at the information you want at the end. And that's really how we structured this whole course. So we're going to introduce this topic of workflows and have you develop several different ones. We'll have you practice and learn new geospatial tools, particularly this thing called Model Builder, which allows you to save your logic in a functional form. It also allows you to do repetitive tasks fairly easily. It's an intermediate step between manual applications of geospatial tools and full-on programming using something like Python, the ArcPy modules. It's a tool that allows you to build programs in a graphically intuitive way using a graphical user interface. And then it's a writing intensive class for the undergrads, so you get that fun. Now the first thing we're going to do is install and get reacquainted with Arc. We're doing Arc in an online version here for most of you. Some of you, if you have a slow internet, won't be able to do this, but if you have a slow internet, you need a powerful computer or you'll need to come in, because installing Arc at home is not as much fun as you might think. So we've worked with our large class a couple of years now doing online ArcGIS Pro. We know how to do it, and if you have a relatively fast, doesn't have to be super fast, but a relatively fast internet connection, you should be able to use ArcGIS Pro through a browser. We'll reacquaint you to Arc. Some of you, it's been a while since you've had the introductory course, so you've just forgotten how to create geodatabases and do some basic digitizing. And then we'll use a problem that we'll work over to first to do an analysis manually, then convert that analysis to a workflow, and then convert that workflow to a map builder project that allows you, model builder project that allows you to run the model with variations in data relatively quickly and seamlessly. 4295 have the added burden of a report, but we build it slowly through the semester. So multiple times, first you'll write an introduction, you'll get feedback, then you'll revise the introduction and add methods and get feedback, and then analysis, and then results. So we'll go through this several times. Mechanics of this class, it's taught in what we call a hybrid mode, but you can take the course online entirely. Some of it is asynchronous, means you do it at your own speed, and they're learning materials that we provide you can go through multiple times or sooner or later. But there are mandatory synchronous meetings this first one of the semester, and then various other times. Now those will be noted in the course webpage, and we use both a Drupal website, the set of pages, and a course Canvas site. Mostly Canvas is used to turn things in. We don't use it because it's not as flexible as we'd like for presenting information. You can't have as broad a view, and anyway, we developed these Drupal pages before Canvas came on, and we just continue to use them. The class pages are defined as shown here, the course URLs, and most assignments are due on Canvas on Monday, a week or two following assignment, but those are listed in the Drupal pages. The Drupal pages are organized by week in rows, and then by columns in the assignments on the left with a description or link to an assignment, deadlines in the middle, and then resources that help you do these assignments. So we'll offer videos or documents or links to pages. So this is the first week. The second week there'll be, again, a similar format with a title suggesting what we're doing and then the details below it. We sometimes add handouts. The links are highlighted here in a different color and underlined, and you click on them and it'll dump the handout or start the video or do something like that. There's all sorts of redundant material, and for many of you, you won't need to access this, or you'll look at it and decide quickly. We try to make them concise. The videos, 3 to 6 minutes is our target, 10 minutes if we have to, except for these lecture videos, which we try and keep as short as possible. So we don't want that to be a deterrent. We don't want to hide too much stuff in them. There are lots of little videos. Many of these are review, pulled from other courses or pulled from things we've taught. Some are new and specific just to this course. Now, you're accessing a virtual computer via the browser. This first week's assignment has an X295 software setup document. It shows you the URLs, how to load this. Now, if you have access in another college, you could use that, but you'd be better off using the CFANS desktop. So actually going through the instructions to download the CFANS apps.umn.edu and making sure you can use the materials as we have them set up. So again, these instructions walk you through the URLs, how to download it. You have to load a Citrix workspace and then do some other authentication, a few other things, have a VPN loaded, a bunch of other things, and that's in that document in the how-tos. The document is pretty involved. There's multiple steps, but we'll be able to walk you through it. If you have questions, we can do screen shares and make sure you get a working copy. Now, some of you won't have fast enough or reliable enough internet, and so we've also provided in that document instructions on how to download ARC onto your personal computer and run it from your computer. Now, it's a Windows-only operating system piece of software, so if you have a Mac, unless you're running something like Parallels Desktop or another boot camp or something that has a native Windows operating system, you can't use ArcGIS Pro. Most of you should have known that from your introductory course. So there's all those steps. Make sure you get Citrix and ArcGIS running or the download installed and running first thing this week. And if you have problems, let us know early so that we can work them out with you, because we're going to hit the ground running and actually have to produce stuff this week using the tools. We provide a bunch of videos here. We don't have videos on the install. We have videos on work throughout. So the basic idea is that when we're introducing something new or just reiterating something, we'll provide in the review materials, videos, for example, on digitizing or clipping or various other operations. What else? Yeah. You have to use this apps2go. That's the name of the software that you're using. It'll download apps2go onto your computer, and it'll do it once, and then you'll have this apps2go icon. And when you click on this apps2go icon, once you've installed apps2go, and you only have to do that once, it'll either start directly, depending upon your operating system and how things are set up, or it will download a .ico file, and you'll have to click on that file to start an instance of your virtual desktop. So we can't say how it's going to be for each of you. It depends on the operating system and how the operating system is set up. So either look for this icon or look in your downloads folder once you basically get apps2go installed. When you click on this, it will pop open a window, or in a browser, in your browser that you're using, or it will launch this .ico. We suggest you use the Chrome browser, but it'll also work in other browsers. Once apps2go opens, you may get a data pane that doesn't show, or a window that doesn't show your desktops, and so you want to click in the middle on this CFAN's desktop, and then you will get the desktops displayed. And you can click on the CFAN's desktop after that, and it'll open up a version of Microsoft Windows with all the software that you need installed. So again, as we walk you through this download process, you'll see these various IT web pages. Remember, you only need to download and install the Citrix software once per computer if you're successful the first time. You'll access it from any browser, Chrome preferred. We've got this documentation, again, this X295 software setup, but that's listed on the Drupal page, so you don't have to remember that here. You just go to the Drupal page, you'll see that. So make sure you get that done. We have all our data in the class L drive, which we'll sometimes call the CLD drive or the L drive or the class drive. Now, you need to install a VPN to access that from off campus, and we have instructions in that X295 guide on how to install the VPN. You can also just map the device from any operating system through the VPN, and we have those instructions. The target folder is this files.umn.edu CFAN's lab, so you'll need to enter that. After the Mac, the backslash has to be used instead of the /. If you log in 35 scope, those come up automatically. If you use your file system, we have instructions in that on how to, in the startup X295 setup guide, and how to map these. So again, make sure you can do both, because these are where we're going to add data both at the start now and periodically for you to use in your exercises during the week. So go to the Class L drive and you'll download data and operate on that download data. So big things to do this week: get the apps to go working and get a working version of ARC, and learn how to access the L drive to grab data. What's our problem? We're going to do rainfall mitigation on the St. Paul campus. We're going to use this as a vehicle to do spatial analysis. And it's the right size problem because it's real world, it's practical, it's doable in 15 weeks, although we're really doing a small, very small, almost toy rendition of this problem, but it's still a quite sophisticated and complex analysis. So we start by building some data, and then we have a model for how the system operates and calculate some important parameters or factors. And then we modify the data and estimate how much it would cost to mitigate and modifications to reduce the impacts of stormwater runoff. So it's this spatial data systems model analysis and modification. It's tractable, and you get both hands-on and computational experience. We're working with 2 watersheds on the St. Paul campus, and to make the problem doable, we do this in 2 stages. First, we have a data development sub-areas, one for tree canopies and a little bit larger one for buildings and land cover, and you develop data for these 2 areas. Then we have you build these watersheds, and of course, you've only developed data for a subset of them, so you might think, well, how can I do my analysis if I only built data for a subset of them? We then provide you with data for the entire campus area, and you pull out the data that you need for these watersheds, and they're very similar to the data that you've developed, just comprehensive. And then you do analysis for the entire set of watersheds. And the reason you give subsets is once you've digitized a few hundred trees, you're not going to learn much about digitizing if you digitize another 900 or 1,000. Same thing for the land cover. Once you've done 100 acres, the next 900 acres doesn't help you learn very much. So it's not to be exhaustive in digitizing. We're kind of in the middle here in Bloom's pyramid of analysis of learning. So the remembering and understanding and maybe a little bit of applying in the introductory course. You learn the vocabulary of GIS, what are the parts, you understand how they go together. You do some application to solve some analysis, but really functioning in the 4095 course in this developing analytical capabilities, using the information, mixing and matching the tools to solve a problem. The graduate students also do some evaluation and creation, so evaluate the quality data sets, look at the efficacy of various different paths, look at the robustness of analysis. So they're doing a lot of the same, plus some added pieces. Again, this first week, we want you to look at the problem in detail. I'm going to, in another video right after this or complementary to this, describe the problem, but I want you to also read the problem statement because I won't cover it all in the video, and that's a concrete document. Read the overall project description, install the software, learn to connect and set up the software to connect to the cFanZilla drive, and then you need to show that you've done this, create a GeoDatabase in ArcGIS Pro and digitize just a few features so I know that you've done all these things. So that's what we're doing this week.